Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere. Maybe under here.
George W. Bush, who had claimed to be a conservative, had tripled the size of the federal government, shredded the Constitution, and destroyed the image of the United States worldwide.
Nope, no weapons over there.
Endless wars, over 1 million dead Iraqis, and more than 5,000 dead U.S. troops. The Patriot Act, warrantless domestic wiretapping and spying, the end of Posse Comitatus, sliding towards total economic collapse. These factors and other abuses had the American people in a state of panic for their future and the very existence of the United States. The elite were in trouble. The people were beginning to see through their facade, past their front man, and to the ruling elite behind the throne. For the first time in U.S. history, both parties were universally hated. Congress had a 9% approval rating. The globalist agenda had stalled.
George W. Bush gave a speech defending globalism and the New World Order and demonizing nationalism and Trump's America First agenda. Here are some of the headlines that followed his speech. This is from Breitbart News, George W. Bush emerges to bash Trump. Nativism. We cannot wish globalism away. From the Daily Mall, George W. Bush comes out of retirement to throw shade at Trump as he denounces bullying and prejudice in politics and praises the value of immigration. And then he says, free trade helped make America into a global economic power. Wait a second. Free trade. Fair trade's one thing. And that's what Donald Trump is, trying to promote. And he's been doing a great job at it, making good trade deals. But this free trade under NAFTA and things like that, that hasn't benefited America. It's caused our factories to go overseas, our middle class to plummet. And praise God, we've got a leader who's willing to fight for America, not be a squishy little weasel coward like George W. Bush. The big war we are in right now is globalism versus nationalism. Make America great again. Not make the world great again. It's America first, not globalism first. And why should it be that way? Because we don't want power in the hands of an anti-Christian globalist elite. George W. Bush and his father have hijacked the conservative movement and has turned it into this neocon globalist world democracy. So John Adams says, hey, our culture is special. Freedom does not belong to anybody, and that's what he's talking about, our Constitution that was supposed to protect our freedoms. Freedom does not belong to any people but a moral and religious people. You can't just do what George W. Bush wants to do and say, well, it belongs over in the Middle East. It belongs over here. It belongs over there. He says, and there is an aggressive challenge by Russia and China to the norms and rules of the global order. Bigotry seems emboldened. He's referring to Trump here now. Our politics seems more vulnerable to conspiracy theories and outright fabrication. Well, he's talking about conspiracy theories, but then he's going to talk about Russia.
The rising tide of hardline right-wing nationalism. The grand godfather of this extreme nationalism is Vladimir Putin.
We've seen nationalism distorted into nativism. Forgotten the dynamism that immigration has always brought to America. We see a fading confidence in the value of free markets and international trade, forgetting that conflict, instability, and poverty follow in the wake of protectionism. That's another way to say you want nationalism. You don't want to be part of globalism. George W. Bush is basically, he's trying to say that protectionism is dangerous. We don't want walls. We don't want tariffs. We don't want protections upon our country. We just want one big happy world where anybody and everybody is just the same. We're just citizens of the world. Who cares about countries? Who cares about borders? Welcome everybody in. I tell you what, these neocons promote immigration as though it's a great thing for America. I'll put it simply. Any immigrants that come in here from third world countries are not a blessing to America. We didn't only do it to vote out the agenda of Obama. We did it also to defeat Bushism, crony conservatism, and the neocons in the establishment of the Republican Party. Bush and Obama were both rejected. I'm telling you, what a failure. What a disappointment. Our young people need positive, Bush again here, positive role models. Bullying and prejudice in our public life sets a national tone, provides permission for cruelty and bigotry, and compromises the moral education of children. He's trying to say that Donald Trump's setting a bad tone of bullying. Hey, we've had enough of limp-wristed, weakling Christians and conservatives, both in our church and in our government, cowering over the corner. This kind of talk right here is the exact thing that has caused us to be in the trouble we are in today. All these men here are globalists. Once you realize they are globalist puppets and not on our side, everything else comes into focus and the mystery is solved.
The World Trade Center came down during George W. Bush's presidency.
Right.
Or you said in 2008 you thought he should be impeached.
Let me tell you something. The war in Iraq has been a disaster. It started the chain of events that leads now to the migration, maybe the destruction of Europe. He started the war in Iraq. Am I supposed to be a big fan? Now, people can say he's popular. I don't know why he's popular. But we also had an economic collapse at the end of his term.
I'm calling from Tyler, Texas. It's 1:45 p.m. Put that in your records. So I started studying what it meant to be in Tyler, Texas at 1:45 p.m. when the shooting was at 12:30. And so Barbara Bush, now we all know Barbara Bush is a very sweet lady and would never do anything bad.
You look at all this drama for George Bush and you think, what did this guy actually do? It would be one thing you hear about the great ceremonies for a Julius Caesar, or for Napoleon, or Bismarck. There's some great leaders in world history. We're rolling out the red carpet. What does this guy even do? He served one term, and then he lost it because he just lied, because he reneged on the one promise he made, which was no new taxes. What's the legacy? NAFTA, I guess. And that just got changed. That wasn't really a big success, was it? The Persian Gulf War, that wasn't a success. We're still there, so congrats. Really, he did great things with the Cold War. How's that going? Right? This weekend, we're about to pull out of the INF Treaty and restart the arms race. And they give this guy credit for, really making a big difference, massaging the end of the Cold War. How's that going, And so all this fanfare for a one-term president. And you look, his life of public service. You look it over this whole legacy. Can we point to single great achievement that actually benefited Americans? Can we look at anything? Any one thing? The man's been in public service, public office, since 1966. Okay? And you can't point to a single thing where he's really made the lot of the ordinary American better. And there's not one example. And this is the most celebrated, what a hero. Everybody's crying, everybody in the media and all left and right coming together to celebrate. And at the end of the day, what can they say was his greatest accomplishment? That he was like a nice guy or something? Oh, sure, he lied to the American electorate. And, he destroyed American manufacturing with NAFTA. Oh, all right. And, the way that he navigated the end of the Cold War, that was actually kind of a big failure. Okay. And the Persian Gulf, not only did that start 30 years of war in the Middle East, but the intervention that he did wasn't even sufficient. We had to go in and finish the job 10 years later, bombing intermittently. Okay, so that didn't really work. And he got mass migration, so he brought in 11 million people in the decade following the passage of the 1990 Immigration Act, which you signed. So that, that kind of made the problem a lot worse. But, wow, he was really a civil guy, wow. But wow, don't you remember a time of civility in politics when left and right could screw us in the butt and just kind of be friendly to one another, right? Well, wasn't that a great thing when they can embezzle money and they can, put their cronies in power and help out their corporate friends and bomb foreign countries, but they could do it in a nice way, in a kinder and gentler way? This faggot. Oh, we got to make America a kinder and a gentler nation. Really? You got to understand, this is for the elites. They do this whole ceremony in the funeral. This is all for them to elevate their sense of importance that, I guess it's part of whatever Moloch worshiping devil cult that they're in, that they've got to elevate themselves with this kind of ceremony type stuff, because this isn't for us. You could ask anybody friends, family, colleagues, how do you feel about George Bush passing? Is anybody really going to be, oh, wow, what a tragedy? No, nobody cares. This guy was like a GOP functionary. This guy was like the archetypal centrist, neoliberal bureaucrat who happened to become the president. And then he lost because he was an incompetent coward. Oh, okay. And we're supposed to now feel bad. We're supposed to be moved by these images of corrupt warmongers being friendly to one another and crying. I'm sorry, I can't really shed a tear. George W. Bush, this is a guy who lied us into the Iraq War, caused the 2008 recession. We're supposed to feel bad that his dad died? What about the 70,000 Americans that die every year from opioid addiction? What about the suicide rate? What about the mortality rate? Right? Or the life expectancy that's been going down? People that I work with die, or people that are my neighbors, people that look like them are dying every day. Literally because of despair, because the country is in the garbage. As wealthy as we are, as we like to pump ourselves up with this American exceptionalism myth, people are killing themselves or doing drugs to death because they're miserable. And people like that die all the time, unceremoniously, and they're totally forgotten. In some cases, it's gruesome. You look at Kate Steinle, Molly Tibbetts, people killed in cold blood, buried in the dirt. They're not put in the rotunda, but we're supposed to be bent out of shape because of this guy. People like George Bush make the country worse. And it's so funny because I see all these people who are like college Republicans and Young Americans for Liberty, those kinds of groups who I see on social media, and they all, oh, goodbye 41. R.I.P., rest in peace. Yeah, God bless you. All these fags who don't pay taxes, and they don't have children, and they haven't had to buy a home. They have not grappled with the reality of the country. They don't realize that it's all very real, okay? And it's because of these people. America is in a sucky situation because of these people. So, you see these people being put in the ground, and never forget what they've done to us. Never forget what they've taken away from us, what they've wasted and squandered. Look at the 1990s, the wealth, the prosperity, the promise. You could go back even to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. How great of a country America could have been. Screw these people. Who cares? I hope the ceiling caves in on them when they're all in the funeral. I hope they all die. Honestly, these people wrecked our country, and we're supposed to have respect for them. Their titles mean something. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, they're all sitting in the pew. Oh, wow, get on our knees. Wow, look at all the power in that room. These people screwed our country. They're replacing us. Yeah, but what a shame. They're all dying at 94. Man, I hope I live to be 94 if I don't get killed by immigrants.